right. All right. Some more people will be funneling in here, but we've got a lot to go through here this morning. This morning for me, this maybe this afternoon, maybe this evening for you. So we're going to jump right in. So first of all, just welcome to the Futureproof Your Hotel Sales Strategy in 2023 webinar. My name is Evan Hildebrand. I'm going to be your host for the next hour here as we dive into the hotel sales landscape of today and some of the practical strategies that hotels and venues can implement to grow their direct group sales. So just some quick housekeeping notes before we get started here. First of all, we want to create some really meaningful conversation here with this webinar. So please feel free to utilize the chat feature to share your thoughts as we go through this. And then the second piece is we're going to be doing some Q&A at the end of the webinar. So please use the Q&A function here in Zoom, and we'll be sure to answer your questions there. So without further ado, I want to turn it over to our expert panelists here. So Antonio, maybe we'll start off with you with a quick introduction.
Sure. Hi, good morning, everyone. So my name is Antonio Batanero. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Spacious. We provide with instant booking tools and 3D diagramming for meetings and events for hotels. And I'm here based in Miami, Florida, originally from Spain, and also happy that Miami Heat made it to the NBA Finals. So.
Thank you, Antonio. How about you, Corey?
Thanks, Evan. Hey, good morning, everyone. Well, wherever you're at, great to be on this webinar with these fine chaps here. Corey Falter, partner at Lure Agency, based out of sunny San Diego. And we support both hotels on the group and meeting side and also suppliers of the hospitality industry. I'm just really looking forward to sharing some of these strategies and bantering around with you all. So thanks for having me, guys.
By process of elimination here, Trevor, you're up.
All right. My name is Trevor McLean. I am the Strategic Partnerships Manager here at Event Temple. So I've had the joy of getting to work with fine folks like Antonio and Corey in the past. To work and help develop better partnerships in the hotel ecosystem to make it better for the hotel world. And Event Temple, of course, I'm sure many of you are aware, as you've signed up, we are a hotel sales and catering solution. And we're here to modernize the space and make it easier and better and for hoteliers to sell their space.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. So I'm going to jump in with a question here right away for all of you. And just a reminder to everyone in the chat here, please throw your questions to Q&A. We'll tackle those as well. But question for everyone here. How has the landscape of hotel sales and marketing changed in the last few years? And what trends do you see emerging in the next few years? So Antonio, we'll start with you again here.
Okay, perfect. Well, obviously a few things have changed, in the last few years. I think probably the most important one is all the new technologies, and how accessible they are to everyone nowadays. It's like there is an app for that, and it's true. It happens the same in the sales and marketing industry and the hotel industry. So there are solutions for everything, and not only for everything, but they are also affordable to everyone. And I think that hotels also have taken advantage of all these new technologies. We are also seeing this rise of direct bookings strategies, or how to encourage guests to book directly through the hotel website versus the OTAs. And we see from exclusive discounts, loyalty programs, additional perks. So everything to encourage guests to book directly, right? Then I would say there is a shift in the customer behavior, and we saw that especially during the pandemic, right? For example, in terms of fan trips or site inspections, now they became more like a virtual site inspection through virtual representation of the event. For example, in the case of the 3D diagramming that I was mentioning at the beginning, virtual tours, all sort of virtual experiences before the guest gets to the property. And finally, I think all the user-generated content has exploded, no, and influencers, no. Guest reviews are key in terms of influencing the booking decisions. We see that in hotels, restaurants, even venues, even vendors, no, even in our case, no, like as technology companies, we also, have reviews about what our customers think, and no one makes a decision unless you have read a bunch of reviews first, no. So I think those four things are things that have really changed the scope, no, the view. And in terms of the trends, I mean, we need to talk about AI, right? If not, we wouldn't be in this webinar today. So I really think that that's the biggest trend, no? How this artificial intelligence is going to impact all our sales and marketing strategies. I was actually reading an interview with Brian Chesky, Airbnb's CEO, and he said, and I quote, he said, "We need to shift from asking where and when you are going to who you are and what you want." I think that means a lot, and that means that marketing campaigns need to take into account your preferences, your needs, and not only the destination and the dates. No, in the end, it translates into making better matches, no, to the search that the customer is making. No?
Thank you very much. Corey, we'll go with you, and then Trevor when Corey's done.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to dovetail directly on what Antonio was saying. The keyword being change, and that trend to direct group business, group in particular. In fact, some of our hotels are reporting that over 75% of their business in group is now direct. That's through website, direct messages, and calls. And those, we're seeing that primarily because of two trends. And that's one of the remote work culture. So these are businesses that have gone to an all remote. They no longer have a boardroom, and they no longer get together on a frequent basis. So these collaborative group gatherings are coming across. Daniel Melnick, who's a hospitality leader, is basically defined this as these are companies that don't get together on a regular basis, and they don't have a shared overlap of time in the office. So people are craving this in-person get-together time, and that's creating a really interesting opportunities for hotels. Another one that we're seeing, and this is a big one. This is the rise of the non-professional meeting planner. Christy White, who's another renowned hospitality leader, has said that the planner was decimated during the pandemic, and these are some of the last professions that have come back. So it's the executive assistant or others at the company now are planning the meetings. This might be in addition to a role that they're already doing. So these people have been tasked to plan a meeting, and they're not using traditional protocols like RFPs or even third-party platforms. They're starting with Google, or now ChatGPT, and they're starting there to get the basics for help. And they're looking to connect at the hotel to get basic information through form fills and through phone calls. And this is where a big disconnect is that if you go to most meeting planner portions of the website or meetings and events part of the website, it's really only speaking to the experienced planner. They're only offering site plans and information on rooms, maybe menus, but they're offering this long, massive RFP upload form, nothing basic questions, not even really an easy way to reach out and just ask, hey, do you have this particular this need date? So a lot of these people are going to the website, they're seeing that, they're getting overwhelmed, and they're leaving. They're going to another property that is nurturing them on a very, very basic level. So a huge missed opportunity for a lot of properties. And so I think right now is the time to reassess that journey, and take a look at the website. And I think that's where the very, very first step would be. So what can your teams do to meet this growing demand? And it's start by educating, going back to the basics, learning how to really handhold some of these novice planners that may have been doing this for the first time, putting themselves in the shoes of Sally Sue, who may have been just recently tasked for planning an event, and she's overwhelmed, just the amount of stress and responsibility for someone who's never done this before. I can't imagine. That's got to be incredibly stressful event. So talk about an amazing opportunity to build a rock solid relationship that goes beyond the price and any other objections. It's being that trusted advisor, not just being another salesperson that's looking to be there just when there's an opportunistic sale. So starting with building a basic strategy that talks about a welcoming website, identifying opportunities, nurturing existing prospects, and then selling only after you've built that relationship. And once you've been able to do that, you're able to build a sales culture that's scalable and predictable, has a better close rate, has more control, and higher profitability. It's not to say that RFPs in third-party business isn't great, but when you've got built a direct business culture, you're less reliant, and you're able to be more proactive and be more strategic. So I think that getting back is to what Antonio was supporting, is really looking at going direct. There's tremendous opportunity there.
I'll hop in, and you're really going to notice I'm just going to kind of echo here. I think typically what you've seen, right, and I think we've all seen it, is right, 2020 happened, and I'm sure we all love revisiting that one, right? It's been 3 years later, but I think what we really need to see is how it changed the way people work. Like, for example, I'm working from home right now, right? And what we're really seeing as it's going forward is, I mean, a lot of companies are really reapproaching the way that people work and trying to figure out what the future is. So one thing we're already seeing massively is commercial real estate has shown a major change. Like, it doesn't matter what market you're in. I can tell you right here, I live in Vancouver. It's traditionally considered a really hot real estate market. Commercial real estate has completely changed. And what this really does, though, is it seems to offer a unique advantage to hotels, which have wonderful built-in meeting space and places for group events. And what we're also seeing is people are doing a lot more smaller meetings elsewhere, and consistently more than they ever have before, because working from home hasn't gone away. But what we do see is that people are still wanting to meet. And I don't think we're seeing a loss of demand or craving for in-person events. Realistically, it may exist more than ever before, because there are those out there, like myself, for example, who are super social, and you can't get that social interaction like you used to in the workplace. Zoom fatigue's real. Nobody really loves jumping on Zoom meetings. Props to all of you for being here on one. But I think what we also see, right, is people want to be able to book meetings more and do it easily, right? We don't even just see the shift of like how demand exists and what exists here, but we also have demographic changes, right? A younger audience wants to be able to do things easier, and they want to do it faster. And then to really finally echo what Corey said, right? We see this less sophisticated planner exist now with layoffs and economic concerns, right? We're seeing that planners aren't existing in the same way that they did. And we're also seeing a lot more executive assistants booking for organizations more. And they need to be able to do that easily. So that's really a key here that I think we're seeing, not only in what did happen, but what it's leading us towards, right? And that would be the picture that we've seen here at Event Temple.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. So next one here is a question for Antonio. How can hotels ensure they are staying ahead of the competition when it comes to sales and marketing efforts? And what strategies do you recommend for achieving this?
I think first of all, I'm back to the idea that there are so many technologies available nowadays. I would say keep investing in digital technologies and digital platforms, to optimize all these sales and marketing efforts. I think is key to constantly measure and analyze how effective those strategies are and those tactics. And so I would say that the first one will be definitely measure and keep track of everything you do. Second one, I think that also it's important to leverage the guest data in order to create more personalized marketing campaigns and offers that are tailored to those target that Corey was mentioning. I think the data is out there, the data is out there, and it's accessible to everyone, and it's a matter of using it wisely. We keep, I keep getting all, and I'm sure the same happens with you guys. I keep getting all these email marketing campaigns with offers that I'm not gonna book, and I think that that is time to actually, as I said, use the data wisely to tailor your customer, your potential customer, and then linked to what I mentioned about the online reviews. I think monitoring all your online reputation. I think that is something, it's a driver for everyone that is looking to plan an event or book a room at your hotel. So I think that all these positive reviews and all these social proof can significantly influence the decisions of the customer. And so I would say that in order to stay ahead of the competition, definitely monitoring all these reviews is a must.
Excellent. Thanks, Antonio. Just a reminder to everyone, if you have thoughts or questions, please throw them in the chat by the Q&A here. We got a question for Trevor. What new technologies and tools do you recommend for enhancing hotels' sales efforts, and how can they be effectively integrated into existing strategies?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not gonna go into naming all the tools that I see out there as much as I'd love to. Hey, maybe we'll put together a list of Event Temple recommends. But I think that what we're really seeing, and there's a key here is that in evaluating your tech stack, and it's to get best in class choices. So I think what we saw, right, especially in the early 2000s, was it was a world where there was a lot of the jack of all trades tool, right? And it was a lot of all-in-one. It existed and it was there to like kind of do everything okay. But I would say that the modern world, what we've really seen, and I'm sure it drives some hoteliers nuts, is there is a lot more best in class specialist solutions, right? And it can drive you nuts because, hey, there's like, what, now I have to use 10 tools when I used to use one. It's one I've chatted about in the past. But what you really now see and what you really want to solve for is a couple of things when you look at it this way. So I think the number one thing I'm recommending when you're looking into your tech stack is you want to solve some basic key challenges. And they're going to feel a little philosophical, right? So you need products that are easy to use, and you need them to integrate, and you need them to offer excellent customer support and success. And then why, right? But it's because in the end, solutions are best if they're connected, they're easy to use, because then your team is going to be trained to be pros on it, right? And then it's actually a solution. So technology is really at its best not if it's replacing people, but if it's helping people to work better, right? So if you have this tech stack that's very integrated, yes, you're using 5 tools, but they're all connected to each other to work like one. And now instead of having this all-in-one tech stack that sort of kind of did a couple things okay, or like not so good, but it did one thing really well, you're going to have a bunch of tools that can do what they're supposed to do really, really well. Now, as for specific types of tools, I'm going to go into types of tools and not specific products themselves, but specific types of tools that I believe are important and will be extremely important to the modern sales team is solving for challenges like being able to book small events online and giving people the ability to build or upsell orders for themselves, right? And being able to quickly test the water on RFPs so that your team doesn't spend too much time on them, right? We all know that there's tons and tons of those leads that are coming in from your tools like Cvent and other platforms. What you're wanting to be able to do is making sure that you're giving them some time, but not all your time. And then I think the final one that I think is really important in modernizing a tech stack is being able to connect marketing and sales tools so that teams can work strong leads, right? So if you have a great marketing platform that's warming up your buyers and they're clicking through your content and you're seeing that they're getting closer to a saleable position, those are the ones that your team really wants to work, right? Because you're not having to pay a commission to someone else. You're getting to own that lead as your business. And I think if you're working in that ecosystem where it's very well connected and you're solving these issues, you're going to see a lot of growth in owning your market more and relying less on third parties.
Excellent. Thanks, Trevor. So I'm going to move into the final question that we have for all of our panelists here. While I'm doing that, throw your questions into the Q&A, and then we're going to move into just answering those ones here. So starting off with Corey, here's a question. What do you see as the biggest challenges facing hotel sales and marketing teams in the next few years, and how can they be addressed?
Thank you for the question, Evan. Actually, I've got 2 distinct ones that I see, and it's the residual silos between sales and marketing. I still see that going on, and I know there's been some proactive measures to try to get that more in alignment. We were also, as I mentioned, we work with other industries, and it's so dramatic to see how aligned sales and marketing are in industries like SaaS, where they're literally an integrated team. And I don't see a whole lot of marketing's being that aligned with sales. So I still see that as a problem, because I think it's, especially in the group side, because we're talking about long, more complicated sales cycles. Now, with so much communication, it can take as much as 8 touches to get a prospect down the funnel into a situation where they're looking to maybe even pick up the phone and have a conversation. But also the ability to use technology and to create these workflows, letting automations nurture a lot more prospects at a high level, so that you're personally touching a lot of people, very like a one-on-one, and able to nurture those people down to more of the bottom of the funnel. So you're able to pick up that. You can't put those things together unless you have sales and marketing aligned. So marketers should be a sales team's BFF. Those guys should be aligned. That's where you can really electrify, especially when we're talking about increasing group sales. And then again, I stuck in the if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality that I think has plagued the industry. And then the dependence on third-party leads, being more of this reactionary sales culture and being there only when there's an opportunity on the table and not being actively adding value to the community. So those are 2, I think, very distinct problems that are plaguing the industry. So, yep.
Excellent. Corey, I love your idea around building that cohesion between sales and marketing. That's a fantastic point.
Thank you.
Trevor, we'll go to you next for this question.
Sure. I mean, I think, yeah, exactly. Corey's nailed his side of it. I see sort of like three like biggest challenges when I'm looking at things. That they're ones that you'd want to like look into and address, right? So we're seeing one, there's going to be a lot more uneducated buyers asking for smaller meetings and more meeting demand that will want sort of transactional asks, right? They're going to be smaller and it becomes a little more transactional. So there's a couple ways that you can look at this and turn it into an opportunity. One, there is software as a way to alleviate small meetings. It exists today and it's only getting better, right? So people can actually book that online. They can come in, they can create their order. It can help upsell it for you. Your team's then not spending that time that they would otherwise spend on larger, big ticket items that are not transactional and need a consultant. So that's an excellent way to turn that challenge into an opportunity at your property. I think we all see the news these days too, when I'm going to say this next challenge, which we all see, right? Potential economic downturns. There are still signs of a slowing economy, and that will hurt events, that will hurt group sales and business sales, right? People have tighter budgets. They're not going to be spending quite as much. But I always like to say that and put my sales hat on and really say that people always still buy in bad economies. And they only really buy from people who can create and align value and demand. So with that, you really want to be an expert on what makes your hotel the best, what makes you different, what makes you an expert in your market, right? By being that all-around pro, you create that value and you create that demand, right? Because there will still be business, there may be less of it, but you're going to make sure that you're the one capturing it, right? So I would say put in the time to understand how to differentiate yourself on market and really sell what you have and be the pro and be the best at it. And I think finally, when you look at the third challenge, right, I touched on it at the beginning, we have changing expectations and demographics. People want things faster and people want things very personalized more than ever before. Antonio actually touched on that great earlier, right? With his Airbnb quote, where it's who you are, right? And what you want. That's so common in today's market today, right? We all want it to be quite unique. And we're even seeing that with how products exist. They're becoming more unique to us. We don't all kind of do the same thing like we used to. And I would say when you look at that, tech is your friend for personalization as scale, as an opportunity. You can do this easier and quicker than ever before. There's ways to send out nice basic templated emails. There's ways to be at the leading edge of fast personalized message. And if you can do this and you can master it, you're going to really stand out from the crowd because A, you're quicker, and B, you're very spot on and you're to the customer that you're talking to and to that guest. You're not just kind of giving, hey, this is our hotel, here's our brochure, tell me what you think, right? You're reaching out to that person about their specific ask. These things can't exist today. And I think if you can master those, you're really, really taking advantage of this challenge and turning it into a great opportunity.
Antonio, we'll end off on this question with you.
Okay, thank you. Biggest challenge. I think I would say that the biggest challenge is to understand that, more than ever, one size doesn't fit all. And that you need to differentiate between, for example, your marketing and sales strategies for B2C versus your strategies and tactics for B2B, right? When we talk about meetings and events, you have a wide range of audiences out there. You have, and Trevor and Corey were mentioning this, you have corporate clients, you have social event organizers, you have event planners, you have now the film industry looking for special locations. And so you really need to understand the specific needs, the preferences, the pain points of all these different audiences, and tailor different strategies and different tactics for each of them. for example, I know, we are working with this client where, traditionally they thought about their event venues as the meeting spaces, right? So they, and I think, a lot of it happens across the industry. You think about your meeting space as the only space that is feasible for an event, but that is not true, no? And we are seeing that more and more where hotels come to us and they say, listen, we wanna get more profit out of the entire building, no? And we have a lot of spaces, or we want to work with you to identify those spaces that may be suitable for different audiences, no? Like as I said, no, maybe for the film industry, that people that are looking for a photo shooting, you have a space that you never thought it was a space that you could sell to this group, and it's something that should be part of your offer, no? And then I think, back to having all these small meetings, no, the meetings that are less than 50 people, all those meetings obviously are gonna be local, no? It's customers or people that are, I don't know, 10, 20 miles around your property, no? So I believe that this thought about be local or stay local is going to be key in terms of marketing, and knowing your destination, knowing your city, knowing what is happening, knowing the last places that open, knowing that hole in the wall that no one knows about. I think those are the things that these small groups are going to really value, among obviously other things. But the demand more than ever is around the corner. So I think that, when thinking about the strategies, also think about, it's not always the people that are coming from other cities, is your neighbor that wants to plan an event somewhere in the city,
Excellent. Thank you so much to our three panelists here. So we're going to move straight into our Q&A. Thank you so much for everybody submitting your questions. We've got some fantastic ones in here. So I'm going to start off with one here. It says, okay, for those who are in a reactionary sales mode, how are some ways you recommend to be less reactionary? Corey, maybe I'll hand this one over to you.
This is beautiful. All right. I'm overwhelmed because this is where salespeople right now can crush it, because there's little people in this space doing this. And I can't urge everyone that's on our webinar enough to be active on LinkedIn. And I know you probably heard it before, but there's a lot of misunderstanding of what LinkedIn's all about. It's not a glorified resume. It's not a good place you go to look when you need a job. It's so much more than that. It's literally the world's largest MPI event. Imagine an MPI event going on 24/7 all day long. You can put yourself into conversations that you think that you can add value. So imagine walking up to a group of people, you're here, you're listening to them talk. It's like, wow, I think I could really answer this question. People are looking for answers. Even if you don't want to put out content, you could getting yourself part of these conversations. People are teeing up questions about meetings and events all the time. There's groups, there's ways to find this type of conversation taking place. Spend each morning on LinkedIn by adding value to your community, growing your network, because once you're connected to somebody on LinkedIn, you're connected forever. Even an email address, as you guys probably have known, some of the email addresses aren't even good from 6 months ago. So don't focus on finding somebody's email address. Focus on connecting them with LinkedIn, because no matter where they go, you're always going to be connected to them. They're always going to update their email address so they get notifications on LinkedIn. Being actively engaged on LinkedIn to use it and be able to strategically use your time, add value to your community is paramount That's where you can be able to become that trusted advisor. Next level is adding content would be, articles and thoughts, even sharing somebody else with adding some additional context to a post. That's sharing others to your network. Video, getting yourself out there, that's a little bit next level. I know there's been some hesitation, including yours truly. I'm not super comfortable on video, but I'm putting myself out there because I know how effective it is. You're building a warm relationship with somebody you've never met before. So first, there's a lot more that I could go into, but LinkedIn, step one. And as I talked about before, gearing your website. I know with brands, it's a little bit more challenging. You got to make sure your website's set up to handhold the novice planner. So those two things, that's the first two steps to creating a more proactive sales approach and not a reactionary RFP order taker.
I think I'll jump in with Corey here too and just say, and it really can depend, right? Like, I'm not going to give the one size fits all on this because different events and different like scalable prices, right? They do have different they have different challenges. But I would say, I know I've spoken with plenty of hotels in the past, and where they get stuck on being reactionary is they're reacting to lots of at times smaller and maybe smaller events, people kicking tires. And you also want to find a way to funnel that away if you can from people, and find ways to, I think you can enable technology to help you in that scenario. So there is ways, especially if you're reactionary, maybe let's say with more on the smaller side of events, there is technology that can assist you along the way. So you're spending less time, because the problem with reactionary work is typically the time that you spend, right? You don't get to work on your business, you're stuck working in it. And that can be truly the challenge there. So I think at times it's about how can you simplify that time spent.
Excellent. Thanks, Trevor. We have another question in the Q&A here for Antonio in particular. How do you recommend differentiating B2C and B2B strategies? Thank you so much, by the way, to everyone submitting these.
It's a great question, actually. And it's tough because, if I look at me as a B2B customer, I can be a B2B customer when I'm checking my Instagram feed, right? So what I mean by that is that nowadays you are influenced by many different things. I have dinner with Trevor and Corey, and I get influenced on my decisions as a business person. I check my social media and I get influenced by what I see. I see a friend of mine signing up for for a software solution, and that influences my decision. So it's everything nowadays is so mixed. You are not, there is no longer this line between you as a worker and you as a person in your private life. So I think that is something to definitely take into consideration. That being said, obviously, for example, LinkedIn is a great example. I don't socialize, at least what I do on LinkedIn is very focused on my business and my business goals. So I think that LinkedIn is a great example of where you can differentiate your B2B versus your B2C strategies. I also think that past events, reaching out to the people that already experienced your property and already liked what they saw when they plan an event at your property is definitely something that is worth your time and your strategies, right? And I'm sure Trevor and Corey have additional ideas on how to differentiate B2C versus B2B.
Yeah, I jump on. Thanks. Great, Antonio. It's great to tee that up. I would also add B2B versus B2C. B2B being a longer ticket item, bigger sale, longer sales cycle, way more trust involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
B2C, to me, traditionally, especially in hospitality, would be your transient, your leisure, vacations, that type of thing, where, yeah, obviously TripAdvisor, social proof for somebody to consider that as a destination vacation. But when you add the B2B element, you're talking about a much more complicated sale, a longer sale. So at the crux of that being the relationship, and as I got it back earlier, it was spoke about earlier, being that trusted advisor versus just another nice property with a lot of great reviews. Traditionally, B2B involves a salesperson. So the more that you can build that trust, and that's another thing I did not touch on, the lack of social proof on the B2B side versus B2B. We're obsessed with TripAdvisor and Yelp reviews on B2C. In fact, there's some of our GMs that personally respond to the TripAdvisor reviews because they know literally how important one star could be to the bottom line. It's that important. Literally none on the B2B side. I mean, there might be some reviews on Cvent, but if you go to a hotel website, there's literally no social proof. There's no rock solid testimonials, no video testimonials, no reviews. Another really important element that's completely missed. And so those would be two other distinct areas I would also add to the B2B side.
Excellent. Thanks, Corey. We've got another one here in the Q&A. Trevor, I'll get you to tackle this one here. So this question is, how do you think hotel revenue management are going to align for personalizations as they always drive to maximum profitability? Does this help or hinder?
Oh, I love this one. And I think it's when we're looking where we're going, I think ultimately it's help, right? Revenue management exists because it's helping to maximize revenue, right? In basic sense. But what we're really seeing too, and what's really cool is there is a lot more of this revenue management, especially when it comes to your meeting space and when it comes to driving that. So I think ultimately these two places are always aligned, and it aligns even with personalization in the sense of if you're using tools right now, and there's some great ones out there, but you can use these to really view like how is your meeting room revenue being maximized as well too, right? Are you driving high value meetings at the right time? Should you be taking small meetings at a time when you would otherwise be taking none? I think at the end of the day, revenue management can be such a great place to optimize the sales process, like sell that small one in a time when you wouldn't have it. Hey, don't take that right now. We got to maximize our opportunities. I think it's going to become, if anything, almost more holistic than ever before. And these systems are going to integrate more and more these days. You know, we're seeing it. We believe in that future at Event Temple. We really believe that sales is best when it's working hand in hand with revenue management. And I really think it only helps when these teams are working more and more together, because it's maximizing opportunities at the end of the day. And I think personalization plays so into that.
Covered. So I've got one more question here in the Q&A, and I'll let anyone here on the panel answer this one if you want to take a turn, have at her. So the question is, do you have any tips for a hotel staff that are resistant to new processes or systems?
I can go if you want. I'll tell you my own story. We are seeing that a lot, no, from hotels or hotel staff that is used to using an Excel spreadsheet, no, to manage from inventory rates, you name it, right? And how do you transfer them to using a new system? No, I think actually I'm gonna go with Trevor, with Corey's word about trust. No, I think that as they start, it's a process. I'm not gonna lie, but it's a matter of as they start trusting the system and they start seeing that is actually something that is gonna help them. You have more chances not to really convince them to move away from old systems or even a spreadsheet. No, I also think that starting small is quite important. This can be overwhelming, and I think we all understand that. So I think, maybe a pilot, maybe a few months of transition are things that we are seeing that also can help.
I think I'll jump in here.
Go ahead.
I just love to jump in on this one. It's very close to me. I think the key there, right, is when you're working with your teams on this, it's short-term pain for long-term gain. Right. I think everybody resisted a lot of these changes that at one point felt complicated or difficult in the past. Right. I mean, you're jumping on, let's say, a smartphone, and then you're like, wait, this thing does everything so easy, and I love it. And I think, though, it is also the challenge to hotel software companies, and if there's those attending from hotel tech companies as well too, is that you do have to focus on ease of use and betterment for the customer, right? And that is one way that both sides can become less resistant, because then we all see, hey, I did shift to that new system and it did make my life easier. That should be the goal, right? And if we're not doing that, even as tech providers, then we're kind of failing too, right? If you look at the world, it is about making it easier to use, and so that it's helping you do your job better. And that's what those of us out there are trying to solve. And at the end of the day, it's on the tech companies as well too, to prove that and to take on some of that burden of the onboarding that we didn't see in the past. So I think like I said, the big keyword internally should be, it's going to hurt a little bit at first, but you're going to love it in the long run. And then to those of my fellow tech companies out there, yeah, let's prove that's the case, and that's to be true.
Yeah, Evan, I got a great addition to that, Trevor. It's a wise mentor of mine in hospitality once told me, you just want to fly under the radar, right? The industry's not built for disruptors. It actually, if something goes wrong, they're eager to point the finger and say, look, it didn't work. So I'm going to say, to get the motivating factor would be FOMO and pain. And that's, Trevor, you kind of hold the scab on this one. If you were to go to the key people at the company and share with them in a very simplistic manner, look, this is what either we're missing out on, or the pain that you may not be aware of. The pain has to be severe enough for them to look at it and say, wow, we need to make a change. So it's that perception of, getting back to what I was mentioning before, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, that might be the case, especially if some of the higher ups don't really even understand it's broken. But if they're saying, we're doing this, but XYZ competitor down the street is doing this, we're missing out on all of that. It's so much, and that creates that Simon Sinek, the why. Now you're giving the higher ups a reason to say, I did not realize that our pain was that severe. We are foolish for not making changes. So I think it's simplistically showing the pain, because if there's no pain, there's no problem. If there's no problem, there's no sale, period.
I love that, Corey. Just putting some visibility and shining a light on where the systems maybe do need some improvement. If we don't have that visible to us, how can we address that? Right? That's fantastic. All right, we're going to do one more question in the Q&A here. And once again, anyone who wants to jump in on this one, please feel free. So the question is, any tips for showcasing why price isn't the only factor for our event space clients who seem to only be concerned about finding the lowest price?
Gentlemen?
I mean, you got to give it to Corey. Look at how excited he was.
Yeah, I was
No,
thinking-
no,
I
no,
was thinking the same.
I just went, guys. I'll end it up because I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. So light it up.
Okay, then I go. I think I will say two things, no? Having clear your value proposition will be number one. You really need to know what is that you're bringing to the table versus, other options, other cheaper options. And so I would recommend to spend a lot of time. It's the same that they ask us, no, as a company, what is your why, no? Why do you exist, right? So I think it's the same for you guys. Why do you exist? Why your hotel is different from the others, no? And if you convince me with your value proposition, then price maybe not that important. The second one, keep investing in technology. And I know that it sounds because we are a technology company, but I'm being honest here. We are seeing that. I mean, hotels that have the right technology that makes things easier for the customer, that help them with making everything easier and less paperwork and more digital and more online. I was looking at the news today, where the spend of millennials is the highest ever in terms of hotels, and in terms of travel. So you are dealing with people that they are used to use their phone for everything. So you need to make sure that your technology is aligned with your customer, and your customer is no longer the baby boomers, is the millennial that is looking to plan an event or meet with their friends or have a social event or a dinner or anything in between.
I'll jump into next, and I would say it's about being a specialist, right? At the end of the day, specialists is what people pay for. People pay for you to specialize in what you do. So for example, if I had a Porsche, I'm not taking it to a regular auto mechanic. I'd be taking it to a Porsche mechanic because I need a specialist, right? And they're going to probably charge you way more for it. And that does mean that you're going to sometimes turn down certain business, or you're more likely to lose it. Let's not say turn it down. You won't turn it down, but you might be losing that business at the cost of what you specialize in, right? If you're amazing at weddings and you're like a beautiful, stunning wedding venue, you might not be as much of a meeting place because you have a huge ballroom and you don't have small meeting rooms, right? So you're going to maybe have to not take on that business or accept that you're not getting that. But what you do need to focus on is not trying to get that market that you're maybe missing out on, but doubling down on the one that you're already successful at, right? And be the best, be that specialist at what you do. And I think specialization is, at the end of the day, where people stop thinking about price, because they're like, yeah, I'm going to the best wedding venue ever. Why would I care what it costs? There's people out there that are saying that and feeling that way. And if you can maximize on your specialty, you will end up not having price be the only factor anymore.
Yeah. And I'll, great points, gentlemen. Another great reason why building direct business and becoming the trusted advisor is so critical. Those two things transcend price. So when you set yourself up as the prize, you're part of the process. And I see a lot of hotels doing this, that they're not injecting themselves as part of the product or service that they're selling. It's just the venue. There's thousands of nice venues literally throughout the United States. We happen to work with several of them. But what's made a difference for them is we've made them a vital part of the package. It's the team and the venue is going to create this amazing experience. And that's how we position them. And so I see a lot of their inbound inquiries that are going on right now. They don't even ask about price. It's, hey, do you have, these dates available? I just need some additional information. Literally, they're not even, the price wasn't even part of the request at that time. They know that they're working with some of the best in the industry. And getting back to that non-professional meeting planner, when you're Sally Sue and you're trying to host a venue at thousands of the nice resorts, trust, getting back to what we've talked about before, trust goes beyond the venue. It's part of that team. Who's been at the property? Who's got the 20 years experience? Who's created these incredible experiences for this group of 100+ people? I'm going with them. I don't care about the low price. I'd much rather put my reputation on the line and go with a team I know is going to crush it and rock it for me. Not quite sure about these guys are low price leaders and they don't have a whole lot of experience. I'm going with a higher price. So that's how you transcend. You bring more value. Interject your team. Your team is a vital part of the process. So don't undervalue the team. Inject way more of it into your sales and marketing messaging.
I just want to also throw this in here because I saw an excellent comment about it from Chris here, who said, and this is something to really think about, right? People ask about price because they don't know what else to ask. And that is so true, right? And the goal is to have a conversation to determine what's really important to them. And I think that's completely correct. And it's so true, right? You're asking it because it's the question that you think you got to ask, but it's probably not the one that you should be.
Fantastic point. Well, we're here at the end of our hour. So thank you so much to everyone for joining this webinar today. I'd ask you just take a minute, write down Trevor, Corey, Antonio's name here that's listed on Zoom, add them on LinkedIn. Let's keep this conversation going. So thank you so much to Antonio, co-founder and CEO of Spacious, Corey, principal at Lure Agency, and of course, Trevor, manager of strategic partnerships at Event Temple. And thank you so much for everyone who participated in the chat and the Q&A. We really appreciate you joining us here today. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.